This is a glimpse into my life. Life with Eric.
Eric's here.
And I'm Kiley.
And I'm Eric.
Okay, I think we know who you are.
Oh.
All right, do you got your note cards ready?
No, I'm freeballing it today.
You're freeballing it.
No, I got notes. I'm way too anal for that.
Do you know why I'm asking you if you have note cards ready?
Yes.
You're like a regular Andy Cohen over there.
Because we have a guest today. Comedian, actor, David Gamble Jr.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Is there a David Gamble Sr., I take it?
There is. My father is David Gamble Sr. There is also a judge in Douglas County named David Gamble.
No relation?
No relation, but it was a weird childhood. Everybody was like, I saw your dad in the newspaper. I was like, that's not my dad.
Right.
And then eventually I was like, yes, it is.
Are one of your kids a junior?
No.
That would be a third.
No.
Oh, third, yeah.
So that was the thing is we couldn't go third because I was like, well, we're not royalty, you know? Like that's and then it's also that you call them Trey and then it's
There's the Trey, yep.
That's too much. It was too much. No.
Yeah, you're stopping. You're the end of the
I'm the
juniors.
end of the David line. Yes. Yeah.
But that's good because David's a common name. And then Gamble, you remember, but Junior, that has good flair
gives you
to
a little...
I see that in the lights.
Well, it's that's why I use the Junior specifically because it does sort of set you apart. I thought of like Robert Downey Jr., Sammy Davis Jr. Like it's kind of one more thing, or like people who do like Michael J. Fox in the middle. It's that thing that like it's just that thing that differentiates your name just a little bit.
Yep. What's the Michael B. Jordan?
Oh yeah,
right.
There you go. Yes.
B. Jordan in there. There's a bunch of other ones that do that.
There is a Michael Jordan out there already before he was born.
Now, that'd be a weird one.
That's true.
It'd be a weird one, you know.
I like
if
you
Michael
gotta kind
Jordan
of separate yourself from him.
You almost want to give a stage name because Michael Jordan is famous, you know, and way more famous than he was ever before he
You
got
get all
famous.
excited, you think he's coming, you're like, oh, it's just you.
Yeah. Well, and the difficulty for him is that Michael Jordan was already a more famous actor. Because of Space Jam. I think Michael B. Jordan has outdone him at this point in acting, but like when you're starting
that first
out,
audition.
you're not even the most famous Michael Jordan.
I wonder if Michael Jordan was actually a little pissed that an actor was named Michael Jordan.
Probably.
And just slipped in the B.
Yeah, I could see that a little bit. Yeah, I'd be annoyed. If a David Gamble comes along, I'll be annoyed.
Yeah.
If a David Gamble the third comes along, I'll be.
Who's the third and the fourth?
What the dare you,
what's going
sir?
on?
How dare you?
But anyway, you are a comedian,
This is
and
true.
I've watched I've never seen you live, but I've watched your clips enough, and I know you from acting class, or see you here and there, and so we ran into each other, and you said, "Hey, I want to get on your podcast," and I said, "I want you on."
Perfect.
I've been talking about you for about a year to get you on the podcast.
That is true. He has.
Oh, that's
I have,
great.
because I always want a comedian on the podcast. See how I hang. See how I can.
See if you're funny
see
or
if we
not.
can yeah.
Well, I cannot wait to disappoint you. One whole year for this. This is you're going to be so sad after this.
And go be funny.
Do you see his excitement over here? He's like,
I'm giddy. I'm like a
You are,
schoolgirl having you here today.
yes, he is. He's never like this with just me.
Oh, this is that's very nice. Well,
Right.
I mean, do we even need her here then? It
Right.
could just be you and me,
He's
Eric.
probably wishing I would leave.
Staring into each other's eyes.
No, I actually need her here. I need her as a buffer between me and you.
There you go. That makes sense.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah. By the end of the podcast, you can leave. Kind of.
Okay.
Man,
We're all good.
we've talked about free balling and anal, and now we need a buffer. I don't know what is this podcast exactly.
Yeah, you don't know what you signed up for.
Yeah.
But anyway, what's your story kind of fascinates me because I know a little bit about you, and I don't 100% understand your story, but maybe you can explain it. Let us have it.
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in Reno, Nevada. Went to the University of Nevada, Reno, here in town. Studied journalism. I've always been a pretty good writer, and then I found out how much money journalists make, and I was like, I better go to law school.
Just kidding.
Yes. So I went to law school, and I actually initially went to law school with the intention of working in an agency. I wanted to work at William Morris Agency specifically.
There you go.
Oldest, largest talent agency in the world. Doesn't really exist in that form anymore. Now it's Endeavor, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know Matthew McConaughey was there when because read that book.
Yep.
Greenlight.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah, he was saying that.
And so I got through law school. I went to Los Angeles and interviewed at William Morris, and in order to become an agent at William Morris, most people are MBAs, JDs, and then they start you in the mailroom.
Oh.
And then you work your way up over a course of 5 years to try to get to being an agent.
Because it's that popular.
Yeah. And
so, like, really make sure you want it.
It's really an old model. They started that in like the 30s. It's like an old model.
And they still do that?
They, to my knowledge, that's what they still do.
Gosh.
And so I'm fresh out of law school with a JD and a ton of student loan debt, and they're like,
Mailroom.
all right, we'll start you in the mailroom at $11 an hour. And I was like, can't do that.
18 hours a day.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And that's, I mean, if I had the ability, yeah, I would have done it. But it's just, I had just gone through 3 years of law school. I just couldn't be poor in LA.
I mean, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So came back to Reno, worked as a lawyer for about 12 years. Biggest part of my career was being a public defender. I was a public defender for about 7 years. Represented parents whose children are removed from the home by CPS. Is this the funny stuff you were hoping for?
Yes,
with the comedian?
it's hilarious.
Yeah. So, when the pandemic started, that job just got incredible. It just got very, very hard. I couldn't see my clients in person anymore. I was just a voice on the phone. If you know anything about indigent clients, people who can't generally afford attorneys, their lives are pretty hard already. And they'll sometimes take it out on the lawyer. That's part of the job. And when you can at least meet them face to face and talk to them, you can form a relationship. During the pandemic, I just became a voice. Hey, this is David. How's it going? And they're like, where's my kid? Why can't I get my kid? And at some point, they couldn't even visit their children while in foster care because of the virus.
Right.
That's brutal.
Yeah. And so law was already a hard profession for me generally. I like to connect and create. I like to be happy and joke with people. And that's just a job where you are just arguing with people all day and giving bad news all day and getting bad news all day.
Yeah, keeping a straight face, delivering bad news with a straight face.
Oh, yeah. The worst part was, or one of the worst parts was that if we couldn't reunify the child with my client, generally you would either go to trial and the state would terminate my client's parental rights, or I would sit next to my client while they signed their parental rights away voluntarily. And it was not great. This darkness represents what I felt.
Yeah, those on YouTube can see this. Yeah, yeah. The lights are way too bright in here.
Yes.
I need to dim them. You're depressing me here.
I'm just bringing everything down. So anyway, that's how I got to comedy. No.
Yeah.
So while I was a lawyer, I had a friend who here in town, Brett McGinnis, very funny guy, editor at the Reno Gazette-Journal.
Okay.
And he was going to stand-up comedy open mics, and I had learned that like I can at least speak publicly. I knew that much from being a lawyer.
Yeah,
and I was like, I think I'm funny, which is the problem is that every man thinks he's funny.
Right.
so
I think I'm funny, but I couldn't do the stand-up thing. No way.
It is and that's sort of the thing is that you at least have the self-awareness, because most men are on a stage not being funny before they figure that out. Fortunately for me, the first open mic I went to went very well. I think if I would have bombed, I might have quit that night.
Like you prepared a set?
Yeah, I prepared 5 minutes.
That's rare,
Nice.
actually.
I went 1 week. And it was, most people were drunk and didn't really have setups or punchlines. They were just kind of up there talking.
Oh, okay.
riffing,
And I was,
yeah.
and I was like, well, I at least know the structure of a joke. And so I just wrote up 5 minutes and went and did 5 minutes, and it went very well. I had stacked the crowd with supporters, so
Smart.
that helped.
Yeah.
But from there, I kept going to open mics, and then there was one comedy club here in town, the Pioneer Underground.
Yes.
And we would get that was a club where we would get road comics who were on tour coming through, and so I got to meet and work with some really great comics. I got to open for Taylor Tomlinson one time. I really, really annoyed her before. It was clear I was like a new comic. I was like in my second year.
She was really annoyed by you? Like seriously annoyed?
She was not. She was so kind.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I annoyed her. So because it was the first time I had met a comic who was up and coming, and I was genuinely excited to meet. Who I was like, I know who you are. I followed you.
Yeah.
It was clear that she was trying to prepare her material before she had to go on stage, and I just
hey.
I just cornered her and was like, well, how do you do this? When did you start comedy? How do you write a joke? Where do you? And just and it was and only a couple years later, I was like, oh, that was probably really annoying.
Yeah, I have that. When I go to an audition and you're trying to, you're concentrating, and someone starts, hey, how you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And I'm like, I just want to be left alone for a second. Yeah, I get that.
And people still
Don't ever come near me during an audition, please.
Noted.
Oh, there's David. I'm going to the corner.
You know what's kind of funny is that the very first time we met, you did that to me.
That's true, actually. Good point.
And look how it turned out.
Right.
I could have married Taylor Tomlinson. That's
I did then ignore him for another year, but
okay. Well, there's a pattern there. It took me a year to get on the podcast. You ignored him for a year. This is his life.
I'm
you
sure
did.
Taylor
We were
Tomlinson will
waiting for an
ignore you for a
audition,
year.
and you were just like trying to talk to me. And I'm like, stop talking to me.
Yeah, I'm getting ready. I'm nervous.
So yeah, but that's a real thing. And so from stand-up comedy, I burned out of law, but I've been doing stand-up for 10 years as of last month. And when I sort of burned out and quit my job, I knew that there was one talent agent here in town. Justine Reyes, shout out to Justine. Her partner Rob was the bailiff in our courtroom.
Yeah, we've had Rob on the podcast.
Oh,
Yes,
really?
we have.
So I would talk to him about his band, Asphalt Socialites.
Yep, seen
and,
them. There's a hat right over there on
There
the
you go.
table.
And he would talk to me about my stand-up comedy, and it was clear that neither of us wanted to be there. so I signed up with Justine, and I was like, well, my mom said I'm handsome, so I'll go try. I'll go try acting, and it's gone pretty well.
Because
So
you're a
far.
comedian, you're an actor.
That's kind of the thing.
If you're a model, you're an actor.
That's
all there is
Tis
to
true.
it.
Yeah. And a big thing that I've noticed is that in a lot of auditions I get now, they want comedians because for two reasons. One, because you have a patter. Comedians talk like real people, and they're like, so you can probably
Improv.
You'll sound like a real person on camera. And then the other thing is that it's the improv. I'll get these auditions where they basically say, here's what we want for the commercial, and they give you some script, and it is not very well written and not super funny, and you're like, okay, and then they're like, so do it as written, and then give us your take on it. And what I've described that as is like, do our job, like sort of like show us what,
Make this better
show
for
us what this could be. And I'm just kind of like, okay, like, and it's cool because you get to like explore a character, but then I'm also like, but you paid someone to write this script, so could you pay me too?
Yeah, right. Can I get a little extra on that check, please?
Yeah. So it's interesting, but it's
Rewriting fee.
Yeah, but also if you're a comedian, you have a weekly showcase where you're on stage by yourself for 10 to 15 minutes, generally able.
You
to
do weekly. You do this weekly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Generally speaking, I'm weekly. I'm every 3 of 4 weekends a month. I'm usually doing stand-up comedy somewhere. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. That's pretty steady then.
It is.
Yeah, it is. It's.
You get nervous at all anymore?
Oh yeah, I get nervous every single time.
Every
Always.
single time you get the butterflies.
Yes, every time I'm still nervous, and it's. I tried to think about like why that is, and so Rory Scovel, who's a stand-up comedian that I love, did a tour where he just did improv the entire time. Oh. He would go up with no material, and he talked about the nerves of that, and he talked about basically for him it was that he was placing his judgment of what he thought these people were or who they were on them before he even got out there. And that's what made him nervous. And so it is kind of letting go of that and just going out. And the thing I used to say in law school before every final, and that I say every time before I go out and do stand-up now is like, well, whatever happens now happens. And then you go in and you just see what happens, and it usually turns out fine.
Yeah.
Good way to think of it.
Yeah.
When you're in acting, usually they contribute nerves or being not prepared enough.
Yeah.
And so when you're going out there freeballing, we'll go back there. We'll go back to it. When you're going out there
No
freeballing,
preparation.
you're still prepared.
Yeah.
You know, because if it's going flat, you have jokes to go to.
Yeah. That's kind of the thing. There's never, if you flub a line in acting, it is kind of like, it's not like, oh, I'm just going to save this. It's people are like, you didn't say the line right.
Yeah.
In stand-up, it's anything can happen, and you can just draw attention to everything. So if you mess up your joke, you make fun of the fact that you messed up your joke, and that's funny. Or somebody in the crowd is wearing something weird, or they say something funny, or you hear a weird noise, you just start talking about that. And so that is both very freeing and exciting, and also very scary. Because you're like, sometimes you'll try to do crowd work, and it just doesn't work.
Crickets.
Yeah, you're just getting nothing.
Where'd you get that shirt? No answer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The mall.
Oh, okay.
Right.
All right.
You're hoping people are a little bit drunk in the audience, I guess.
Right.
They'll say shit.
There's the
It might be
perfect.
rude, but at least.
Yeah, they're like 3 drinks in. you know?
Perfect amount of drunk, because there's a too drunk, and then there's a perfect amount where they're like, I'm a little talkative but still kind of shy, and then there's the person who like basically wants to come up on stage.
I'm funny and I can do this job.
Exactly. I can do your job better than you. I'm drunk.
Do you find yourself
I've got
doing
it.
more set work or crowd work or both?
I tend to do more prepared jokes than crowd work. But I am finding that I enjoy crowd work a little more than I used to. I think when I started in stand-up, what I loved was having a captive audience, and I would never stop talking. I would just be like, go, 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 go. I'm just going to present you what I have, and then I'll leave. Because talking to the crowd was very intimidating. It was that thing of like, what if I can't find anything funny?
They think I'm not funny.
Yeah. And then through a combination of sort of when you do your material a lot, you start to get bored with some of it. And so you're like, well, I got to fill some time and I don't have stuff here, so I'll just talk to these people and see what happens.
Yeah, and see if it happens, and then if it doesn't, go to the next thing.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And that's it. Like literally, if you don't get something out of someone, you just go, well, we tried, and then you move on, and that's kind of funny too.
Yeah, just by doing that.
Yeah.
There's something to be said in silence, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I mean, I would see when I would get up on stage, or even when I do this, and I'm trying my best not to talk over you today because that's my problem. I start filling time, but
he's not comfortable with silence.
Right, you got to be comfortable with silence, and sometimes silence is funny too.
You are absolutely right, and that's why when I started in stand-up, I would just go, 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 and not stop because I was uncomfortable with silence too. It's that thing of whenever it is silent, I'm like, I'd better do something to fill this right now. And in both stand-up and acting, that's another thing. In acting, I'm like, I think about like I gotta just get the lines out as quickly as possible. But there's so much to be found in just being silent, looking at someone, giving a certain look or a head turn. That can say
just the deep breath at the right time.
Yeah. That often says more than the actual words. But man, silence is very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. Love it.
She could be silent forever. She wouldn't talk to me for weeks if she had a choice.
Why though?
Love silence.
What do you love about silence?
I don't know. I could just sit there. I don't even have to look at you, but I can sit there in silence.
Yeah, I know.
When I'm mad at him, we're on a silent treatment for like 3 days.
Oh, it's the worst.
And he tries to talk to me, and I just look at him and walk away.
I think I think in silence, I'm just assuming what other people are thinking. Probably it's that thing again of like, what's going on? What are they thinking?
I'm not. I'm just like, oh, okay, cool.
Ugh, I need that. What drugs are you on?
Right, I know.
Whatever it is. Yeah. What's in the glass?
It's lovely.
Right. Yeah.
Little Aperol spritz.
Oh,
that's
nice.
it.
That's it. That's the key. No, but that's a real thing.
So I have a curious question for you.
Yes.
Who's this saint of a woman you were married to when you're a lawyer and you say, no, I'm going to become a comedian?
So this is my wife Leslie. Leslie is wonderful, and I tricked her. I tricked her is what happened. When we got married when I was in law school. And she was like, I'll tough out law school with you for 3 years, and then it will be set after that. It'll be great. She was a social worker at the time. And so it was clear that, like, okay, we have the arrangement, as they say, is that I was going to do well and she was going to do good. And then about, a little over a decade into practicing law, I was like, surprise, I'm an actor and stand-up comedian. I want to be poor. And she...
Excuse me.
Did you ever have the judges laughing at you in the courtroom?
No.
Like you crack a joke and then they laugh at you?
The courtroom is not a place to make jokes. I learned that very...
Bad lawyer for you.
I learned that very quickly. I tried. I walked in one time with a client, and the judge said to my client, in a very nice, calm voice, come on in, take a seat, wherever you want. No one's judging you. And then I looked at the judge and I said, except for you, Your Honor. Ah! And she literally just went, what?
Oh, no.
Oh, no. I meant judging in the sense of passing judgment, not in the sense of doing my
Thanks for filling me in. Yeah.
So,
like, not an idiot.
Like you didn't know.
Yeah.
Lawyers are we're so literal and so about language that I learned very good. Like, just don't joke in here. Like, it's just, you're the only person who thinks you're funny in this room. So no. So I at that point was like, I burned out. I called her from work one day at my job, and I was just like, I don't think I can do this anymore. And she was like, give notice.
It's got to be bad when you can do that.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've been there. I know what you're talking about.
I had tried. And again, it was just it was a lot for me at the time. I can be a very anxious person. And I think I also carried the weight of the job with me in a way that is probably not healthy for lawyers. When I went home, I had trouble turning it off. I had trouble not thinking about it. When I would go home, it would just kind of be a countdown until I was back in the office dealing with those problems again. And some of the best lawyers I know do carry that burden. They carry it very heavily and very well. And I don't know how they continue to do it. But it was just having like physical effects for me where I was just like, I was having aches and like migraines and just, it was quite bad for me. And so, yeah, I called her up one day and just said, I don't think I can do this anymore. And she said, give notice, and we'll figure something out. And we're still figuring something out. It's been 2 years, and I'm still figuring it out.
You're figuring and figuring and figuring.
But also, in the meantime, she had become a real estate agent. She had decided that she didn't want to.
Oh, she's not doing social work.
No, she didn't want to be a
Well,
social
I would say
worker
both
anymore.
of your jobs were like emotionally taxing.
Well, in
that
a way,
was-
you were a social worker in your
Kind
job.
of.
That's
Yeah.
what she would say when I became a public defender. She would say, your job basically sounds like you're a social worker
Yes,
now.
yeah.
And it was kind of, in addition to the legalities of it, it was really like encouraging someone and connecting them with resources and making sure that they got to appointments. And it was there was a social worky sort of side to it. And as I understand it, a person who is a public defender, you can do that job if you're doing it based on empathy. I think about 5 years is about the maximum.
Yeah.
Where your empathy starts to sort of like burn out and you can't really do it anymore. And so you do have to have either something else that drives you to do the job, or you have to have something outside of the job that really takes you away from it. And I'm a perseverator. I focus on, I'm like, this is the job. I got to do the job. I got to do it well. I can't fail these people. And so it was not great for my brain.
When you, when you're a lawyer, right? You're. Where am I getting at here?
I have
Keeks?
no idea. I don't know where
I
you're
get my
going with
question.
this.
You kept talking, David. I get.
Oh, it's his fault.
I
Yeah,
can't
let's
stand
guess
God
like
dang
the
it,
guest.
yeah.
I can't stand
That's
silence.
my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Hey, turn off your mic.
I'll take it from here.
But no, I guess what I'm getting at is you're helping people as a lawyer.
Yeah.
And then do you find that you're helping people as a comedian at all? You look at that in your mind and say, I'm doing the same thing. but I'm making
God's
money.
work over
yeah,
here.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That was my question right
Yeah,
there.
it's a job that half of us do drunk or high, and so yeah, same thing. But actually, that is a lot like being a lawyer now that I think of it. But the point is, there is that. I don't want to think of comedy as some like grand, like I'm helping society by speaking truth to
But
power.
but I think your people are going to get away for a little bit, and so you're helping them get away.
There is that, and that's probably where it is. Like, I'll talk to other comedians. We do consider it an art form, but it's also like the lowest art form. Like, we're clowns. We're the court jesters.
Except for everyone says that until they try to stand up and do it.
Yeah, there is that, and it is difficult to.
Like-
it can be difficult to do, but it also, I mean, you can talk. I don't want to.
He can act, but he cannot do comedy.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, you tried to tell me one of his jokes yesterday, and you failed. I was. Oh my god.
He's like, so pretend I'm black, right? Okay, so first.
I was like, well, we know you don't have a future in comedy because you can't even hit a punchline. That you didn't make up.
Keeks, I have some clips of David, and this was I'm going to play it right now.
Okay.
This was the joke before you send it to me. The clip,
Yeah.
that I was
Yes.
trying to tell her that
Okay.
I botched.
Oh, it was so bad.
I got no laughs.
You'll have to tell me
Zero-
how he
oh.
told it after we hear it.
I don't even think she can. It was so backwards.
I recently got to host a domestic violence fundraiser, you guys. That was cool. Oh, I should say, it was anti, not pro. We were not raising money for domestic violence. Although I thought like, what would that even look like? Like an organization that raised money for domestic violence. And then I was like, oh, the NFL. It already exists. They're doing great work.
That was the joke. I was like, for domestic violence, against domestic violence.
There's a
figure it out.
fundraiser. I don't know. This is the NFL, like total, like, and it was like 3 times as long. And I was like,
Yeah.
you're not making sense. You're not hitting a punchline.
No, like you get it, domestic violence, NFL.
Yeah, you get there's something. No, but that
I
is,
love that joke.
and
That's
then
a
he
great
played
joke.
that, and I was like, way off,
That's,
buddy.
but I guess that does have to do with like sort of the craft of comedy. Like the wording is so important, the timing, the order, it's all very important. And I think I think it does. I agree with you that people are coming to comedy to sort of to get away from things. When I started out in 2015, I sort of styled myself as like a smart like Daily Show host kind of guy who was like, I'm going to get up here and make really smart political points. And that worked for a little bit. First of all, it doesn't work great. And it didn't work great then. That has to be your thing. You have to be the guy who is the
You
political
have to
guy.
be that naturally, right?
Yeah. And
so if
then,
you're the class clown, you gotta be the class clown.
Exactly. And then by 2016, people were just, they didn't want to hear stand-up that was about politics at all anymore. People on the left were sick of it and coming to the comedy club to get away from it. People on the right felt probably indicted and made fun of. And so they were just like,
it was a note, yeah.
And I had some very well-crafted political
Like, come
jokes.
on.
I knew they were funny, but people were just like, no, we don't want to hear it. So, but we can all agree that the NFL has a lot of domestic violence, and we all know that's hilarious. So,
I'm all.
So yeah, and that's a fun joke too because it gets both laughs and groans and boos.
Like, ooh.
Yeah. Like, oh, did you just say that?
Yeah. And I will take groans and boos. Like, I think it was like Chris Rock who was like, boos are as good as laughs. Like,
it is true. People love to hate. And that's a sign that you're doing good.
Yep. Yeah, groans are good too. Like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, I tend to make like a groany sound even when I find it funny. Like, ooh, but that was good. Like, so I make those like sounds, but I like it.
Yeah. I think the worst reaction is no reaction. That's the thing. Like, if you're getting some reaction, you can at least play off of that. If they're just dead silent, you've bombed. They're just like, we don't care. We don't understand what you're saying, and we don't care. So nightmare.
Move on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I got a good question for you.
Yes.
Can you explain or give us the feeling that you have inside when you're on stage?
Oh, that's
butterflies.
Yeah,
No.
just
you butterfly. We got that part of it.
It was like sheer terror. I don't.
Yeah,
Sweats?
I mean, if that's it, or how fulfilling is it? Are you like, is it your coup de grace? Like, oh man, I'm here. I'm totally present. I'm happy. I'm this. I'm that. What?
I think so. Before I go on, it's a lot of nerves and sort of going over, especially if I'm going to try new material. It's going over that in my head to make sure that I have the wording right. And then once you're on stage, it's still sort of a little bit of terror until you get the first laugh. It's like I have to at least get the first laugh. If you flub the first thing, then it's harder to get them on your side. I think Pete Holmes talks about the importance of getting a laugh right away, because when you walk out on stage and they don't know who you are, you're not famous, so they don't even know if you're going to be funny. You have to get them on your side pretty quickly, and they're worried for you. They're like, is this guy going to be funny, or am I just going to watch someone bomb?
Maybe just like trip a little. just my opinion.
Physical humor.
Well, hey, there's that guy. I just watched this on what's it called? America's Got Talent?
Oh, yeah.
America's Got Talent, and Learn More. You know who he is? He's an African guy.
No.
Oh, yeah, look him up. He's freaking hilarious. He's from Africa, and he has all these African jokes. But he comes up on stage and almost does like the splits and this little thing, and everybody just starts laughing.
Yeah,
and then he's like, "Hey, everybody!" It's like he goes off from there.
The amazing thing about stand-up comedy is that you can incorporate anything you can do into it. If you are athletic or some sort of gymnast, if you're really good at characters and impersonations, if it's prop comedy, if Aparna Nancherla, a very good stand-up comedian, for a while had a thing where basically she was doing a PowerPoint presentation as a stand-up comedy show. So it's anything that you can bring from your imagination or any skill that you have learned, you can bring to this stage. And that's sort of the exciting
him hope.
I can do it.
What can you do? What can you do, Eric?
What do you material right now, as we speak?
You can podcast.
I don't need any other extracurricular things, that's for sure.
But yeah, you get up there and it's nerves until you get that first laugh, and then hopefully the set goes. You can tell when the set's going okay or when it's not going quite that well. I haven't genuinely bombed in a long time because I'm at the point where sort of even when I'm bombing, I can make jokes about the fact that I'm bombing, and that's funny too.
Right, yeah.
But I have genuinely bombed to the point, like every comedian has bombed so hard at one point or another that they're like, should I quit comedy?
Should
this is rock bottom done.
Yeah. As an actor, I've bombed hard. I'm just like, I used to call my mom and be like, I'm quit, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm so horrified. And then I'll bounce back the next week and go for it.
Yeah. Who's the guy on Stranger Things who plays the cop? I can't remember that actor's name. He was also Hellboy in the most recent Hellboy movie. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I saw an interview with him where he described it as like, he's like, acting is embarrassing. He's like, it is very embarrassing. You just go out there and you're being vulnerable and you're revealing something and you're taking like a big swing publicly. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't always work. And you have to be able to just be like, well, that was embarrassing and I feel terrible. And then you have to be able to just get up and do it again.
I'm still trying to shake that. I still have, I call it actor's depression.
Yeah.
When you I mean, you probably get that when you do a bad performance or something and you're just like still so embarrassed and so horrible. And like, why am I even I say that on her all the time. I got a call back and don't get it. why am I even doing this?
Oh, yeah.
You know, God, why am I doing this?
Right now, I'm in the place where Justine, our agent, took us to an acting showcase, IPOP in Los Angeles.
Oh, did you go to that?
Yeah, I got signed by a commercial agent down there as well as a manager, and I get a lot of auditions. I get a lot of auditions for national brands, for commercials, and I've booked a couple, but it's that feeling of like I'm just sending these things out into the ether. I'm like, is anybody even watching these? You never hear anything back, and it's that thing of like, they say, you know, the only thing that everybody who's made it has had in common is that they didn't quit, and that's what you're holding on to. It's just like something's gonna hit eventually, but it really it feels like playing the lottery a little bit.
I'll send 4 or 5 out in a week and nothing.
Yeah.
And then I won't get anything for 2 weeks, and I'll go, oh man, I haven't got anything. Why haven't I got anything? Why haven't I got anything? Then I'll get like 4, send them out, and then be depressed about them.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a never-ending story. You got to just gut it through.
It's a weird profession. It's you gotta, but it's funny because dealing with that rejection. Here's the thing. My brother lives in Las Vegas, and a chapter of the Bar Association in Las Vegas invited me down there to do stand-up comedy one time. Oh. And so I did stand-up for a bunch of lawyers in a Mexican restaurant at 4 p.m. I bombed. That was one of the bombs.
Did you really?
That was one of the bombs where I was.
How many people?
Maybe 15 to 20 people, something like that. And it was just... and there's this temptation as a stand-up comedian to sometimes like blame the audience wasn't. They didn't get me. It was them, not me. I don't know.
Room of stuffy lawyers. It's not me.
I didn't say it, but yeah, right. But my brother witnesses this, and we're walking out, and it's clear and even my brother couldn't solve it. My brother was like, "Well, I've seen you be funny before."
Oh no!
He didn't even throw you some courtesy laughs.
He was like, "I know you can be funny. I just don't know." And so, but even then, I walked out of there just thinking like I still enjoyed this more than like this felt better than my daily legal job did.
That's good.
It was sort of I don't know what that was. I don't know if it was that like the purpose behind it sort of drove me, or that even that was still
you'd rather be where you are than sitting with these lawyers in the Mexican restaurant.
Yeah, because they have to go back to work tomorrow and I'm poor. Wait. Yeah.
I have a question. Do you find or how do you react when people are like, "Oh, what do you do?" And you're like, "I'm a comedian," and they're like,
"Oh, where can I find you? What have you been on?"
Or it's just kind of like that pause, like,
"Are you? That's cute."
Yeah, so's my 5-year-old.
Yeah,
I feel sorry. I feel sorry for you.
Or like you kind of get that, sure you are.
Yeah.
We all think we're comedians.
Yeah.
What have you done?
I
hate that. I hate. What have you done?
Yeah. Or where do you act in Reno?
Right. Yes. The acting. Yes. Like you're on a stage. No.
Yeah. There is this sort of like condescension that comes with that.
You know why? Because they all want to do it.
And they can't.
And they don't know how to do it. And they're curious about it. They want to ask you questions. Am I correct?
I think you are right.
I think you are also.
It took me a long time to arrive at that though, because I was
I'm still not there.
Yeah, I was like, why are people being mean to me? Like that was my genuine question. It's like, why are you being mean to me?
I'm just trying to make you laugh.
But it is that thing of there's this thing when I was a lawyer. I guess I'm still licensed. Like it's like the mafia. You can't get out unless you die. I think. But I can always go.
You got it in your back pocket just in case.
Yeah.
But you don't want to give up the license.
Yeah. I call you at like 3 a.m. So keep that.
Hey, maybe that's your thing.
For a rainy
Give the
day.
license up.
That's I don't know how
don't renew it.
Oh well,
I'm telling you,
I'm in inactive status currently. I don't know how you give up a law license.
I have no idea. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
But if the state bar is watching, I am not relinquishing my law license now or at any time.
It's all good.
You can't take it from me.
But there's when you tell people you're a lawyer, there's this. Oh wow, they know what it took to become
you're
a
so
lawyer.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah, there's respect. There's like and then like there's this thing when I tell people I'm an actor, comedian. Like, they're what they'll say to me is usually I made an Instagram video about this where they're just like, good for you, chasing your dreams. You're a dreamer.
And is your wife okay?
It's never going to happen. Yeah, exactly.
You guys doing okay?
There is this condescension of like, what are you doing? Oh, you are not a serious person is what they're conveying to you. That's absolutely what they're conveying.
How's your mental health?
Yeah.
This midlife crisis
Even my mom is like, Eric's trying to be an actor. I go, no, actually I am.
You are working.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get I do gigs. And
Yeah.
So you're working actor.
He's trying to be. I said, "Well, you stop saying I'm trying. I am an actor."
Just
say Eric
Is
is
she
an actor.
trying to be a gambler?
Trying to be a smoker and a drinker.
It's getting real in here.
Sorry, Diane.
Well, hey, Dan, edit that out. My mom cannot hear that.
Diane is. I am now the least favorite daughter-in-law.
Yeah. You just.
But there is that thing. I had a friend say that to me where I was explaining. We were sitting at a wedding together and I'm explaining to these people at the table that I don't know what I do, and I say I'm a professional actor, and my friend goes. And
You have an Academy Award?
Yeah, and I had to look
What
at
have
him
you done?
and say, I am a professional actor. It's what I get paid to act. That's what I do. So
Did you feel powerful for saying that?
no, I felt lame.
You feel like shit?
No, I did not.
No. I felt like
I went to the bathroom crying.
yeah, I felt like an unemployed actor, and that's never it's never a good
I
place
think
to be.
like 99% of actors are unemployed.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you think about it, even win an Oscar, there's a time in that year you're unemployed.
Yeah.
Someone makes it, a big famous person makes a movie, and you hear it about it all the time. They're like, "Oh my god, I'm never going to get another gig again."
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's interesting. So there was a movie that shot here in town. At the time, it was called Memek. Now it's been changed to Mimics. Is the new title?
I auditioned for that. That was when Aaron got my part.
Oh,
Aaron
really?
Foster.
Yeah,
You got
I
my
know
audition
Aaron.
The
for that part.
detective guy?
Yeah.
I'm no detective. I'm horrible. I think the detective that is horrible.
Did you have to fake put up a gun or something? Because if you did,
Anything
you
with guns,
didn't get
I'm
it.
horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
not
I'm horrible.
good.
So I also
But anyway, yeah, go
auditioned
ahead.
for that and got cast.
Oh, well, you need to leave now. This podcast is over.
That's
Yeah,
actually-
we're all done now, David.
That's actually the end of the story. I just wanted to say that.
It wasn't my part, at least.
No, but where was I going with that? What was the point of that? That is actually
There
the
was a
end of the
local
story now.
movie, and you got cast in it.
Oh, but directed by Christopher Palaha, he is from Reno originally. His father was a judge here in town, who I practiced in front of a little bit.
Oh, okay.
But I can't remember what the point of the story was. it's now
Working
gone.
actor, unemployed. I don't even know.
Yes, okay,
Like,
there we go. So my understanding about that movie is it is horror thriller themed. They couldn't get it done, edited in time for this year, and so as I understand it, it's not coming out until next Halloween. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
and
okay.
and I have a pretty good part in the movie. I get a lot of
cool.
screen time, and
do you die?
no spoilers.
Yeah, he can't say that. Of course he dies.
Yeah, exactly. They did cast a black guy.
I was kind of going to say that, but I was
allowed
like,
to
wait,
say-
do I say that? It's true. Watch a scary movie.
We'll see. I might be the first black guy who
I
survives a
hope
horror
you
movie.
are. I hope you are.
But
At the end, they pull your mask off.
exactly. There he is. Get him.
Oh, you're the killer. I got it.
Oh, you're the killer. Yeah, he must be.
Oh Lord, I'm sorry, Chris. Please cast me again in the
Also
future.
sorry.
But it is this thing where so I have a pretty good part in this. I get a lot of screen time, and it's the biggest film I've done so far, and I'm like, it's not coming out for a year, so nobody knows that I've done it. I can't build off of it really.
Like,
It's
sure you were. When's it coming out?
You put it on your resume. That's about it.
it's
yeah.
on the resume. It's on IMDb, and so I'm like,
You don't even have clips
If you
in
have an IMDb,
No.
I
Yeah.
feel like you're considered a professional actor.
oh, it's so easy
Yeah.
to get an IMDb.
it. Yeah, it's easy.
Okay, why are you telling people that?
I mean, it's a real accomplishment, and I did it.
Could these two get an IMDb?
This segment of Life with Eric is brought to you by
430 National.
Great American Storage
America.
and Reno Yard.
For all your outdoor storage needs. Could those two be comedians?
Oof.
Quite possibly.
You know that's us, right?
Yes. So you could.
Some people don't know.
That's
when I
true.
play that commercial, they're like, "Oh, I didn't know that was you guys."
It's good voice work.
Thank you.
The thing is,
Thank you. Thank you very much. You want to hear it again?
No.
Okay.
But literally though, the thing that came to mind is you could take that act on stage if you wanted to portray two podcasters who all you have to do is come up with some character work
America.
for it.
There.
Yeah, something like that.
You got a lot of characters up your sleeve.
You love each other, or you really don't like each other, or there's something that's unspoken between. Just take that up there and
Yeah, we're gonna make a two-man show.
That
That's
could
what
be
we're
your
gonna
act.
do, Keeks. Yeah,
It's-
we'll
I mean,
open,
we
we're
kind
gonna
of
open
already
for
have
you.
one.
I would love to be a part of a two-man show. It's so much easier, and you know this as being an actor. It's so much easier
Oh,
when you
God.
have someone with you.
Oh yeah.
I gotta respect.
I
like,
can't do this
single
without her.
podcasters
Yeah,
to just talk to yourself.
where you're just talking for an hour. I don't know how you do it. Or
Right.
a self-tape audition where you're pretending someone's in the room with you.
Yeah,
and you're just kind of you have to convey all of the emotion to. Usually for me, it's a sticky note that I've stuck like on the camera or just off to the side.
Oh
that
my God!
I'm
Tell me about
pretending
it.
is the woman I'm in love with.
Yes.
You're just like
Who does your reading and stuff for auditions?
that would be my 12-year-old daughter.
Does she do it for real?
Yes, yeah. So or
She does mine when she
I
goes.
do.
She rolls her eyes every time.
Every
like,
time.
oh.
so
I'm like, I need you to hit it big so I can get like a really good gift for all these auditions.
Exactly. That's my wife literally said to one of my fellow stand-up comedians, "Well, I have to stay with him now. What if he makes it?"
Right.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah. She's like, come on.
Just in case.
But that's been. My wife is not an actor and sort of can feel it's a ridiculous profession. And I think she can feel the ridiculousness of it. And when we have tried to do readings together, her feeling that ridiculousness comes out in her characters, and then I get thrown off, and then we're in a fight. I'm like, just do it this way. I'm acting well. No, you're not. And so so I just conscripted my kid into it instead, and she's
pretty good.
Yeah, she's a little annoyed, but also like a little fascinated by the process, and she acts herself. She does plays at Reno Little Theater.
Oh, okay.
So
she's
So
into
she-
it.
yeah.
Because I do mine with my son River.
Oh, okay,
is
yeah,
actor
yeah,
too.
yeah.
So we'll read for each other. But it's funny. I read for him. Patient. I know how it is. Sometimes he gets these 5 scene things. I do them. He reads for me. It's like 3 lines. Like,
Yeah.
You done?
Are we done yet? Do you need another take?
I really got to go. Yeah, that was good, but I got to go.
That's a bit of my daughter too. She's on the verge of teenagehood, and there is that little bit of like, how many more of these? I got stuff to do. And like literally, you don't have anything to do. You cannot
really
go
don't have
anywhere unless I take you there. What are you talking
Where are you
about?
gonna
And we
do?
can't go anywhere till I'm done with this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Gotta get this out. How many kids do you have?
Two
kids.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
one girl, obviously.
One girl, 8-year-old boy. And
All right.
it's great.
Yeah.
I'm very tired and very poor.
Oh, just wait till high school hits.
Oh my gosh.
You say little kids, little problems, big kids, big problems.
That is sort of that is the thing. Is like right now we know where they are at all times.
Right.
We monitor them. They still kind of like us and come to us for things. They want to hang out with us. And then once you get into high school, you have your own transportation. You start texting your friends on the side. It's just, and you're
embarrassed by your parents.
You're embarrassed by your parents. When I think about it, though, I think over and over how lucky I was as a kid to not have cell phones and social media. I graduated.
Oh, yeah.
I graduated high school right around the time that cell phones were becoming a thing. I had 2 friends who had cell phones when I graduated high school. And I think that now what I think about is just I think about the things that happen in high school where you don't get invited to a party. And like when I was in high school, it was like, well, maybe you didn't even know you didn't get invited.
Right.
Now it's like, you're watching someone from live inside the party.
Yeah.
Everybody's chanting your name. David sucks. Dave. I'm at home on my phone just watching it crying.
And you're watching your girlfriend make out with somebody.
Exactly.
Isn't that a girlfriend back there? Yeah.
No wonder I didn't get invited.
It's also why I can't play pickup basketball anymore. It's too much. It's like, first of all, it's a lot on the body these days, but you watch these clips online and it's like 40 people gathered around the court. Somebody dunks on you and then everybody rushes the court. They're podcasting live from their phones. We're live where David just got his head dunked on. We all hate him now. You're just like, this is...
Look at him roll around on the ground holding his knee.
He is crying like an old man. Back to you. Like it's horrible. And so that complication I am not looking forward to for when they get into high school and get a little older.
Phones are the worst. My daughter, we would take away her phone because she'd get in trouble or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
She would cry like she's being murdered. Like I'm getting ready to pull the trigger on her. Like it's saving her
ruining
life.
her social life.
And she's 15 years old going,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, she's having a temper
Everyone's going to
tantrum.
hate her.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll
So-
never have a life.
I remember I had a sort of proto version of this. Pre-cell phones, we went to, my family's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I was in high school. I was probably 17 years old. We went to Pittsburgh. And the way that I kept in touch with my girlfriend was email.
Yes.
And I was
AOL.
Yeah, and nobody had like a laptop. And
I
so
used to write
know.
letters on pink
That's
stationery.
how old he is.
Dear
And-
Lord.
Pink. Wait. Oh, it was your mom's,
You
right?
know what the girl's name was? Leia Bush.
No, it was Lila.
Leah. No,
Leah.
Leah. Leah.
It's
Could be
Leah.
Leah.
It's Leah.
From what I
That is
remember, her name was
Leah.
Leah Bush.
It's Leah.
Ew.
We went 2 letters back and forth. Nothing ever happened
Yeah,
after
because
that.
you're pronouncing your name wrong.
Exactly. He's making my name into a joke. I can't do that. He doesn't even know who I am.
Right.
But I remember like trying to find computers like a fiend on that
Oh,
trip,
yeah.
and my dad being like, "Calm down. She's gonna be fine.
Is
she's
there a
not
library
going."
No,
around?
she's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, she's cheating on me right now. She's I gotta talk to her. But that feeling, I understand that, and then you multiply that by having access to the World Wide Web and to instant messaging and text messaging, and I can sort of understand
Anxiety, man.
that anxiety that comes along with it. And I'm not a fan. I'm actually considering like getting like a dumb phone.
I was saying, does she have a phone yet?
She did get the phone. We've
yeah.
it's
But I
over.
mean, so and so doesn't respond. So and so didn't like my photo.
Yeah.
You
So-and-so,
read the text
yeah.
out of context.
Yeah. You can't hear what their voice
Yeah,
sounds
so
We
like.
you're
do
like-
that. I read text
Like,
out of context
why
all
were
the
you rude?
time.
He's like, I misread
Like,
that.
oh,
Sorry.
she's pissed at me.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah.
Crazy. That brings us circle back to my one question. What is when you're on stage at comedy? What do you feel?
He
Oh,
answered
yes,
that, didn't
yeah.
he?
No, he
didn't
didn't. No,
answer
he did
that?
not.
I talked
No, he did not.
around it for 20
He tried to
minutes.
escape it.
Oh,
I'm not letting
tried
him
to
escape
escape
because
it.
I think it's important for people to know this because I mean I have it as an actor and I feel what I feel when I do the podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious what yours is.
I think it's
If
probably
you had a word, I don't know.
it's probably similar to what you feel as an actor when you're really in the scene. When you're
You don't know you're in the scene. You're just floating above.
Yeah, where you're playing along with the person and you actually feel like you are the character and you guys are sort of like just there's that give and take.
A little
and
out of body.
Yeah,
a little
you're
blissful.
You're reading each other. So when you have the best stand-up comedy nights, that is the feeling where it's just everything is vibing. You're hitting. When the clips that I put up now, I put up a lot of crowd work clips because the algorithm demands it. Those are the things that get bumped to the top.
Oh, I see.
And so when you're talking to someone and off the cuff, you come up with something that's just you're so relaxed on stage that you're just like, hey, I came up with this really funny joke in the moment, and the audience is with you. It's the best feeling.
You want to hear a crowd? We want to do a crowd. What do they call it? Crowd play.
Yeah, let's do the
Crowd
crowd
work?
work clip.
A crowd work is what you call it.
Crowd
Crowd
work,
play.
yes.
Like, that's a whole different thing.
I don't know.
That's free balling and anal
Right.
and crowd play.
Yeah,
Those are all.
Added to the list.
Yeah. Sounds like a
You
Diddy
used to
party.
be Homeland Security. What was that like? A lot of black dudes in Homeland Security? Sure. The bad guys. Oh, the bad guys, yes. You did clap for the Trump thing, didn't you? Yeah. You look like a guy who would think black dudes were bad guys. It's just your haircut, glasses, and general demeanor, sir. It's fine. Where was I before we were too? I so regret speaking to you. Are you guys married? You're under arrest. Okay. All right. That's enough, sir.
That's enough.
Are you retired? Yes, sir. You are. How long have you been retired? 7 years. 7 years. Still trying to arrest black dudes, though. That is a problem. That is an issue. I tried so desperately to get away from this guy. Hey, are you guys married? How long have you been married? Do you love each other?
So yeah,
That's great.
that's a little bit of
I
crowd
mean, is
work.
that guy drunk?
Yeah, that guy
I
was.
hope so. I'm like,
He has
yikes.
guts to say that.
yeah.
Who would say
Right.
that in a crowd?
I think that guy was drunk.
Had
And
to have been, right?
the funny thing with my jokes is that I play with the idea of race a lot in my jokes. And I try to, it's such a complex topic that I try to do it in sort of a nuanced way. And I think that guy, often what will happen is that people who don't often talk about race see me doing it in a funny sort of what appears to be a freewheeling way, and they get in on it in a clunky way.
You have to laugh about yourself.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You make fun of yourself. right?
Exactly, yeah, rather than, and so he was sort of directing, he wasn't laughing at himself, he was saying, hey, a lot of black people are criminals, And once that happens, the interesting thing, and I am always so fascinated by comedians who handle moments like that.
Yeah.
Because you have to keep it light enough that the crowd does not turn on you. So I sort of made fun of his glasses and haircut a little bit, but it's not. Yeah. But you don't just go in like, I hate you. You're a racist. Like that. Yeah. You can't do that. So you have to try and keep it light. And then that guy just kept going.
I like when you said, I so regret that I'm talking to you right now.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
It's just my mind.
And everybody's thinking that.
Yeah,
oh my God, this guy's an asshole.
Yeah. So it was just my mind trying to like, what can I cling to? What can I? Yeah. And then literally I had turned to that couple and I was trying to do like, just let's keep the crowd work going. Let's do the good old, hey, are you two married? And see where that goes. And he just yells out again.
Yeah, he won't stop.
And I think he had maybe mentioned, something indicated to me that he was retired. And so I thought I would ask him about that. And then that led to the joke about him still trying to arrest me 7 years later.
Yeah, he's still going at it.
And that was enough for him to be like, all right, I'm done here.
Yeah.
And so,
do you get many hecklers?
No, that's the funny thing is I don't get a lot of hecklers. You do get those people. I usually invite people to talk to me, and some people talk too much. Some people you'll be like, so where are you from? And they'll be like, well, I was born in a small town, and you're just like, oh,
whole life story.
Yeah, and then sometimes people will just talk to you the right amount. But I don't get many hecklers, which is funny because I watch a lot of my friends who do get a lot of hecklers. And I don't know if it's just that I put out the vibe that clearly
style maybe.
Yeah, I'm clearly gonna cry if you heckle me, and so let's not heckle this poor man. But yeah, and that's the thing is that that's the worst I think heckling that I've ever gotten, where somebody like sometimes people will just yell out to comedians like you're not funny, and then it's like
neither are you.
Yeah, I don't know what you do with that. And
please leave.
Yeah. And so, but I'm not inviting hecklers, but it makes it interesting. It's kind of it's a situation that. As many different kind of situations as you can be in with stand-up. I've done corporate gigs. I've done Mexican restaurants. I've done bars where people, if you're doing a bar show, sometimes people just walk in and start talking over the comedians at the bar, and then you have to figure out
drinks and stuff.
Yeah, and then you have to figure out how to keep the crowd engaged and how to get them to quiet down. And so,
I never thought about in a bar when it's an active bar.
Yeah, where people can just walk in. And so the more different kinds of situations you can be in as a comedian, you learn something from it each time, and then you learn how to handle. So a bar show, for instance. For a while, I would go to bar shows, and people would come in and start talking loudly, and you'd be like, I don't know what I do. And then later on, I actually read about how Robin Williams would go out into the crowd. That was his thing to engage them.
Okay.
And so I started doing that. If I'm losing the crowd's attention, if I have a cordless mic or a long enough cord, you just go into the crowd and literally start talking.
What's he doing?
Yeah, and then they have to pay attention to you.
I like that, yeah.
And so there's a real craft to it. I can be a bit of a comedy nerd. So
I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah. You should know your business.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure. Are you always up? Are you a lot of comedians are depressed in their off time.
Oh, yes.
Or, are you always up?
I'm glad you asked.
I mean, you always have whenever I see you, you're on.
Yeah.
What do you do on your downtime? Do you cry?
Cry.
You lay on the floor of the shower and cry, or what?
That's what York does.
I cry a lot and regret my life decisions.
Right, yeah.
Consider why I left law.
Yeah.
So, that is sort of the thing, is that comedians are generally, at least, the best comedians are very intelligent people, tend to be often overthinkers. I'm very much an overthinker. And I think a lot of, not even just comedians, a lot of artists, I think a big thing of the arts is being able to feel things very deeply. And that is a thing for me that I do tend to feel things pretty deeply, and I do tend to be kind of serious when I'm not on stage or not in a social setting. And so people are often surprised when they find out I'm a comedian. I think about in 2020, during the Black Lives Matter protests, I was appalled at what was happening, and I wrote this essay about what it was like to grow up as a black kid in Reno. And it was just the little things that people said to you every day that indicated to you that they thought you were less than them or different in some way that was bad. And I just cataloged from third grade until modern day, just these little slights and how they build over time. And it's because I was feeling it so deeply at the time, and I put it out on Facebook, and it got shared 150,000 times worldwide.
That's awesome.
I got letters from Japan, Australia, people just saying, "Oh, thank you for writing this. This was so, this explained it very well." But I remember before putting that online, I remember talking to my wife the night before I put it out, and I had written all this stuff, and then I read it, and then I turned to her and I said, "Do you think I've endangered us by writing this?"
I mean,
and I was like crying, and so it is that thing of like being able to feel very deeply, and I think that's because if you can do that, you can feel the connection to others' humanity. And that's always what I'm trying to do is to...
If you feel the crowd feels.
Yeah, I'm always trying to
audience
connect to people. And that's exactly it. If you're feeling... We as humans are as I understand it, wired for that sort of connection.
Yeah, they're looking for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Why do you think people watch The Golden Bachelor and they watch the,
There's a dude from Reno on The Golden
Yes,
Bachelor
there
this
is.
year.
Yeah, we saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
I am friends with his niece.
Oh, okay.
So
Gotcha.
do you have
Guy.
any secret intel?
His name's Guy.
Because
his name is Guy.
We actually watch it.
I do. Well, I do not have any secret intel.
Damn it.
But Guy, I am wishing you the best. Make Reno proud.
I hope you win. I just thought of
So
something.
far, he
I just thought of
is.
something for you. Would the perfect gig be for you to get a gig on like Law and Order? I mean, think about it. Lincoln Lawyer.
So I probably, quite frankly, so that is a thing that comes up in auditions. Is like if you can
Like on your resume, you're a lawyer.
Yeah. So
That's cool.
if you can handle a lot of jargon in a very believable way,
Yeah.
they do look for that sort of thing. I personally have thought that the perfect job for me would be to get on a sitcom.
For sure, I can see that.
Oh my God, yes.
I would say that for me too.
Yeah.
because
You're
I'm like
not
the
as
goofy.
funny though.
I'm funnier than him.
You are
So
not.
here's the thing, though. Here's the thing.
No, I'm
You-
like the goofy dad.
yeah, that's
me.
I would love to be a goofy Disney dad.
That'd be
I would
great.
be such a
Me
Disney
too.
dad.
Me and you, we're gonna battle for this
Exactly.
role. Me and you.
But so I picture myself as like the people I liked growing up were like Will Smith on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Matthew Perry on Friends, and then more recently like Schmidt on New Girl. These sort of like goofy, romantic lead kind of funny guys. And what I'm finding is that is not the type that people see me as. People see me as a more serious person, I think.
Oh.
Probably because it's a combination, I think, of like my voice, my diction, like I enunciate.
Well, you got a radio voice, man.
There's that.
People will hear it. If people you haven't heard it yet, you
Yes.
hear it right now.
Yes.
I'm a big old nasal. I have a nasal, whiny little nasty voice.
Well, that
Well, at
must
least
be
you know it.
that must be terrible for you. Anyway, as I was saying, no, but what people view me as, and I think because my face can be kind of serious if it's relaxed, and so people are kind of viewing me more as a serious type of character. Or I had an acting instructor who sort of was like, you know what you could do in comedy pretty well. Something like Frasier. He was like, you could be the character
straight guy.
who's so dignified and so straight that when something
That's a
terrible
great role, yeah.
happens, then it's extra funny because you've lost that dignity.
What about the guy on a Modern Family?
Which guy?
Oh,
There's
Ty
a
Burrell,
lot.
the dad?
No. Yeah.
which
that
guy?
guy, right?
That I
That's
could see as
perfect.
well, yeah.
Just a deadpan of yeah.
I tend to think also of Jason Bateman. Jason
Ah,
Bateman,
yes.
his performance is the
Yes.
same in comedy and drama. It's
Yes.
just what's happening around
It's
him
what's
that
happening,
changes.
yeah.
That makes it either funny or serious.
That's a good one too.
And
That
so that's probably that's what I'm finding people are viewing me more as
Yeah.
is kind of. And the other thing I'll say is. In sort of the 80s and 90s, stand-up comedy was seen as sort of like a road to a sitcom. I don't know. There are so many comics
know.
now, and
It's yeah.
it's not quite the same.
yeah.
It's true.
But I've talked to people about this, and I've thought, I like stand-up comedy a lot. In fact, I might love it, because I've considered quitting, and I can't do it. I'm like,
I would
gotta-
say you love it.
yeah.
It's a part of you.
Yeah, I got to keep going. But also, I enjoy acting so much that I thought, like, I think of people like Eddie Murphy or Ayo Edebiri, like people who did stand-up, and then when they became actors, they were like, I'm done with stand-up.
Yeah.
And I think I understand that because acting is, you get a little bit more deeply into a character. You get to take your time with it. Stand-up is a grind. You have to write new material
Yeah,
all
and
the
you
time.
got a family.
Yeah, you have to be out late at night. On
the road.
Yeah, it's just it's a lot of work, and I do love it, but also I could see it burning you out. I people who have done it for, like someone like Chris Rock, who's done stand-up
Whole life.
Yeah, what, 30, 40 years at this point? Like, I salute him. And to do movies on top of that. Or I guess the person I really think of is Kevin Hart. Who like releases a new stand-up special every 2 years. And releases 3 movies a year.
To be poor. You don't want to be poor anymore. Just keep on making that money.
And I have thought that. I've thought that if I had something hit, be it stand-up, be it acting, I think the Kevin Hart model is something where it's just like, it's not going to last forever.
Yeah. Do a movie.
Maximize it.
Do
as much as you can now, because it's not going to last forever. Get everything you can now. And when the ride is over, be happy that it happened. So
well, me and Kylie are going to come see you. I'm a big fan now.
Oh, great.
We haven't seen you. We'll have to talk about this.
Yeah, we've got some shows coming up. I can shout those out.
Yeah,
go ahead right now.
Okay, so on this upcoming Sunday, we have a Don't Tell comedy show. I am a producer and host for Don't Tell Comedy. Don't Tell Comedy is a national comedy company in 155 cities worldwide. And we, myself, Sarah Rooker, and Andrea Bartunik, which are 2 of my comedian buddies here, are the producers of the Reno, Tahoe, Truckee Don't Tell comedy shows. The Don't Tell comedy shows take place in secret locations with secret headliners from Netflix, Comedy Central, Hulu. And you can find us on Instagram at Don't Tell Reno, or you can go to don'ttellcomedy.com and look up Reno. We recently did 2 shows on a boat in Tahoe. We did one at a pole fitness studio in Midtown. Just wherever. We've done a couple in a basement of a house. It's wherever. There's video of me on the pole on my Instagram.
Hey now.
Check me out at DGJ Comedy.
Well, you have a backup plan.
Exactly. And then I will be in Los Angeles on Recession Proof Comedy on October 22nd and 23rd.
Recession Proof Comedy?
The show is called Recession Proof. Yes. And so if you're in the LA area, check that out as well.
Awesome. That's good. I'm not going to I was going to ask you what the goal is. But not the dream. I crossed that dream and said goal.
The goal, yes.
We already tackled that, but what the goal is. We found it out. We got it. I think you've answered that unless you want to add to it.
I mean, no, I think that is it. I think it is to be Kevin Hart. That is the goal.
Would you ever move to LA?
Yeah. So
Or do you ever think about it?
Yes, if it were sustainable. We have a life here. My family is here. My parents are here. I have a house and a mortgage here. So I've made a life here. But certainly, if
you got a big enough gig,
yeah,
you go.
I've spoken to my manager, and she's like, her plan is like, let's try and get you guest spots on sitcoms, and then eventually series regular, and then we can see where you go from there.
Yeah.
If that plan panned out, yeah, I would probably move to LA. But also, I think I am at a point in my life where I would move to LA, but I don't want to be of LA. I think
get that.
Yeah, I think if I had started acting and stand up in my early 20s, I think that would have been I would have loved to be in LA, just having crazy times, running around the town.
I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, when I was that young. And like, I love my son because he
young still.
I'm like, go, do what you got to do. You know, because I would have. Yeah. So,
but I'm at the point where I'm like, some quiet is good. Going to bed at a reasonable hour, or even if I'm not in bed at a reasonable hour, at least on the couch watching Netflix at a reasonable hour is nice.
Yes.
Right. What are you watching now? What's your show?
What am I
or what are you
watching? What am I watching?
I'll tell you what we just got. We just got done watching the Mendez Brothers.
Oh,
Monsters.
Monsters.
Yeah. I don't really do I did the Ryan Murphy OJ show. I liked
that was a good one.
That one was
Ryan
very
Murphy
good.
does some good stuff. We're watching another one.
that Aaron Rodgers, the American Sports Story.
Oh,
Aaron Hernandez.
Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah, that's another one.
That's supposed to be pretty good.
It
Yeah,
is.
the Aaron Rodgers one will be in the future.
That's probably next.
Kevin Can Go F Himself, which is it's a show
I've
that
heard
was
of that. Yeah,
I have not heard of that.
It was on FX, I think, for 3 seasons. It's just hit Netflix, and it stars, oh God, what is her name? Annie from Schitt's Creek.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
And it's sort of this interesting back and forth where she plays the sitcom wife of a buffoon husband, and all of those scenes are shot in a very 3-camera sitcom way. And then it'll switch to her real life from her perspective, and that's shot 1 camera, sort of darker and gritty.
Oh.
And so it's an interesting thing. It's sort of a commentary on like the buffoonish sitcom husband who has the wife who's too hot for him, and what it would be like from her perspective in real life. And it is a comedy, but it is also it's definitely making a statement. So yeah. So we've just started watching that one, and I do want to watch the new Brad Pitt and George Clooney movie, Wolves.
Is it out yet?
It's on Apple Plus.
Did it come out? I
okay.
wasn't sure on the release date.
Yeah.
Everybody will watch that.
Yeah, those two. I mean, it's just, how do you even if
How
it's
do you not?
Yeah, it doesn't matter how the film is. Like I'm
That's
going to
true.
enjoy it. It's got Brad
They're
Pitt
pretty
and George
funny
Clooney.
together.
Yeah, and directed by John Watts, who directed the last 3 Spider-Man films. Like I'm in. You know.
That's what you're doing tonight?
Yeah. That's actually I've just made my plan for
Yeah.
tonight.
Yeah. and do you want to tell the folks out there? Speaking of Spider-Man, you play a superhero on TV.
Oh, yes.
yes.
I see you all the when I
All
see
the
your
time.
I guess the public service announcement is
It
what you would
is,
call it.
yeah.
When he comes on TV, I go, "Hey, that's
Every
the guy that's
time.
going to be on the podcast."
Every time for the past
There he
3
is.
weeks.
He's a little taller than that. But
Yes. So
you want to go
I-
and explain what it is?
I portray a character in a public health campaign entitled his name is Healthy Hank. And so this is a campaign that was funded, I believe, by a federal government grant to Nevada Health and Human Services. And the purpose of it is to remind people to sanitize as they travel. Sanitize in your car, sanitize at gas stations, sanitize in the
It
airport.
seems like a weird public service
It's
announcement.
kind of weird that we have to have this. Say this.
Apparently it's a thing.
Yeah.
And so
Especially after COVID. Like, we have to remind you.
Right, yeah.
It's only been 4 years.
Well, we have short memories here. But it was interesting. So I auditioned for it at first, and at first it was a drill sergeant. It was
Oh.
like Sergeant Sanitary.
Oh, was it really?
And so we did tests on that, and Sergeant Sanitary was like, well, the military thing isn't working. Why don't we try a superhero? And so it was like, it became
Did
like...
you have to do that whole with your hands?
Oh,
Hey.
yeah. It became
That's the move, man.
It became Captain Sanitary and then ultimately Healthy Hank.
Healthy
and
Hank, yeah.
Healthy Hank wears a ridiculous outfit.
Yes.
He wears spandex, cleaning
tights.
gloves. I've got like
Goggles.
safety goggles on. I've got like 2 spray bottles, one in either hand. I've got safety, like clean wipes on my belt.
And you're like 3 inches tall.
And I am tiny. And so we green screened me into all these scenes. And it was interesting because we shot those all in public. And so we shot one at a gas station right by Reno High, where I went to high school.
I recognize that now.
Yeah. And right across the street from that is my buddy Matthew Work, who's an attorney here in town, who I used to work with. And so I'm out there in my tight.
Please don't come out. Please don't come out.
Matthew walked out. He walked out, and I was like, "Hey, I know that guy." And Anna from our acting class is on set as well.
Yeah.
And she goes, "What's his name?" And I was like, "Matthew." And she's like, "Hey, Matthew, look,
No.
it's David." It's like awesome.
Great.
And same,
I'm really coming up in the world here.
Yeah.
same thing.
Told you I'm a professional actor.
You're right.
We shot one in the airport as well, middle of
Yeah,
the
I saw that.
airport.
Yes.
I took pictures with an Australian flight crew
Oh,
because they were like,
that's
"Who
fun.
are you?" And I was like,
How do you not know?
I'm
Yeah.
Healthy Hank."
I'm famous.
And then again, a lawyer who I used to work with was walking through the airport to catch a flight, and he's like, "Hey man, what's up?"
You okay?
I'm in the outfit. I'm like, "It's going great. This is
5150?
my career is going amazingly." Yeah, exactly. Yes, lock me up. There you go. So yeah, it was kind of funny though. Shooting in the airport was kind of cool. I thought because it was definitely a little embarrassing, and
I've shot in the airport before.
the outfit was so hot and
Not dressed like that.
yeah. But I think my stand-up comedy sensibilities kind of kicked in. So as people gathered round, it was like, oh, I'm going to go
It's a
bigger
show. It's a
and
show.
be more funny and silly. And so, yeah, it was cool. And so, yes, Healthy Hank says, keep it clean. That's his slogan.
One time, I'll just a quick story. I did a short movie, and it was up in Incline, a bar called Rookies, and I grew up in Incline, and so we're shooting there at night. It's kind of midweek, right? So we're shooting these scenes, and my hair's all puffed out. I'm kind of this, like a Night at the Roxbury type guy.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Out of this thing, next thing you know, a bunch of people from when I went to high school would just walk in the bar because we were filming and half of the bar was closed off. And they're like, "Hey," they didn't even know I was like acting. They're like, "Hey, why's your hair like that?"
Yeah.
It's so embarrassing.
They just
I'm like,
think
"Oh
you're
my
this guy
God."
now.
Right? Yeah.
Eric's going through
What
something.
happened? Yeah.
Like, what is he doing? Yeah. Like, also so embarrassing.
It
That was
is.
years ago. Like more, over 10 years ago.
It's all so embarrassing. They left that bar being like, Eric's trying to be an actor.
yeah. Right. Yeah. Look at him. He looks like an idiot.
So-
But in all reality, they want to know, and they really do want to know.
Well, because it is, and I'm sure you get it. There is interest in it as well.
Yeah.
There is like how do you
How do you do
this?
this?
Yeah.
Like, how are you on TV?
Yeah, because I think most people, I think there is a lot of interest around sort of the psychology of acting and of performing as well. How do you get into this character? What is it that makes you
How
want
do you not
to do
freak
that?
out in front of a camera?
Yeah. How do you just ignore it? How do you? And there's all these. I don't think that people always understand that it is a discipline that takes learning techniques.
muscle
Yeah,
discipline.
I think people think often like, oh, you just want attention, and that's
Right. You just want to be famous.
yeah, there was. I read Jenna Fisher's book on acting, and she talks about that, how she wanted to do acting, and her mom said to her, well, why don't you just do journalism and you can become a TV anchor? And it was, in her mom's mind, it was, all you want is to be on TV.
It's to be on TV.
You want the attention. And she sort of talked about, and that was very helpful to me to understand it that way. She was like, people outside of it don't understand why you do it, and they'll make all of these assumptions about why you do it, and those can be hurtful if you don't understand why they think that. And so that was very helpful advice. Thank you, Jenna Fisher.
Thank you, Jenna. Does Jenna drink any of this? Honey, guess what time it is?
Happy hour?
Yep, I made your favorite Juicy Tits Vodka cocktail.
Fantastic. Thanks, babe. Love you.
And I love you. And your Juicy Tits.
Go to juicytitsvodka.com to get your own bottle of Juicy Tits, where life is the party.
Awesome.
That was us, too.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you figured that out?
You guys do very good commercial work for voice.
We have
Also,
another one to do, too. We haven't put it on there yet. We
I
gotta
was like,
work on
surely he did not just say juicy tits.
Yes,
That's,
yes, he
yes,
did.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Our
Awesome.
most famous sponsors out there. Life with Eric podcast is brought to you by Petrilla Concrete Construction. And we're going to give a shout out to Michael Weems Collection in Palm Springs on Palm Canyon Drive, which Kylie and I are actually going there next week. We're going to
Actually, by the
visit him.
time this airs, we will be home.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm announcing this. We're not going. This won't be up till October 16th.
Oh, okay, cool.
Right.
We're 2 weeks out because we're going on a trip.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah, so we're double podcasting this weekend. We're gonna
yeah.
put
You've
ours
actually
up and
become
then-
like a buffer, so we don't have to podcast
There
when we
you
get
go.
home.
Yeah.
It worked out very
David
nicely.
Buffer.
I am glad
David
to help.
Buffer, change
I am
your
glad
name.
to help. That means that this Sunday's show that I just shouted out
Oh,
will be
shit,
over.
you're right.
But you
Oh,
can
we can pimp
Give
it.
us another one. Give us
No,
another
you
one.
can still see me in Los Angeles,
Totally
October
forgot.
22nd, and also just follow me on Instagram at DGJ Comedy, and that's where I post all of my shows.
Perfect. And if you like this podcast, rate us a 5, please. Subscribe or copy the link and share it with a friend. That helps us out a lot. And we should get a lot of good listeners on from this one.
so.
I'm excited to have you. It's been great.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. This was a lot of fun.
It
Thank
was
you.
fun.
Oh my
What?
God. You got me all flustered.
Why?
David.
Who got you flat? Oh, David got
Subscribe
you
or follow us on wherever you. I forgot my line.
I'm like, why are you staring at me? What do
And
you
I'm
want
a real
from me?
good actor too. Dan, edit this whole thing out.
Just edit you out.
Yeah, edit that ending out there. Yeah. Subscribe or follow us on wherever you listen to your podcast, or go to our website at lifewitheric.com.
And don't forget to follow us on social media. What are you doing? You're way off. You didn't do a cheers. You didn't do a last call.
Oh my God, you got
Like-
me all flustered.
That's the comedian shows up, and
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
happens.
Last call. Who are we
There
cheersing
you
today?
go.
This is easy enough.
Well, we're gonna cheers.
We're going
David.
backwards. Cheers, David.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having
Thanks
me.
for putting up with us.
This was fun. You guys, it's,
We did great until the end.
Yeah, well, you can edit it all out in post, is my understanding. So
Can,
Yeah.
but we probably won't.
Yeah, we probably won't. We probably
This
won't.
is life with Eric.
Right.
I mean,
That's true.
Why do we want to edit
We
it?
mess up once in a
Yeah.
while. You want me to say my line again, or you just want to
I
go?
don't think you need to hit that again.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, do you? Oh,
Subscribe or follow us, and wherever you listen
There
to your
you go.
podcast, or just go to our website at lifewitheric.com.
and don't forget to follow us on social media for updates and a closer look into my life with Eric. To all of our listeners out there, remember, it's happy hour here.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Love you, baby. Thanks,
Love
David.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks.